On his quest to destroy the gods of Olympus and his subsequent journey back to scatter the ashes of his love, Kratos helped revolutionise the third-person hack-and-slash adventure. There is nothing quite like ploughing through hordes of enemies using a variety of powerful weapons, which is why many developers have tried to recreate or at least pay tribute to the formula with these games like God of War. We wouldn't call any of them a direct copy, but instead homages to the series that took Devil May Cry's stiffer combat and made it more fluid and much bloodier. I'm Daryl for Cultured Vultures, and here are some games like God of War that you should check out. Remember, that's games like, not games that are exact copies of God of War, so don't get mad at us when all of these don't see you being a mad, sad dad who once was bad but is now rad. Boy. Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Much like God of War 2018, Valhalla put Nordic culture in the spotlight. Unlike God of War, Valhalla was a little more down-to-earth, featuring a conflict between the Vikings and the British settlements scattered around Norway and England. Players will find that Valhalla's combat is leagues different than God of War's more patience-based encounters, favouring chaos and bloodshed over well-timed button presses. It's a nice callback to the older Assassin's Creed games, including the series' signature deep dive into fascinating history framed around the iconic conflict between the Brotherhood and Templar. Dante's Inferno. Before Visceral Games took a nosedive into the abyss of shuttered studios, it took the God of War approach to Dante Alighieri's Divine Comedy. Sending players through the 9 circles of hell, Dante's Inferno features a rogues gallery of baddies, including villainous and twisted forms of Queen Cleopatra and Mark Antony. When the game was released, level and monster design were major attractors, but its gameplay drew many unfavourable comparisons to God of War. The titular character wields Death's Scythe much like Kratos wields his blades, but unlike Kratos, Dante can show his enemies mercy with the Holy Cross. Dante's Inferno may not have made massive waves, however it's a decent alternative for when you need that God of War itch without having to replay the series ad nauseum. Darksiders. A game doesn't need to feature massive mythological beasts to be compared to God of War, but it certainly doesn't hurt. Darksiders sends players to Earth as War, one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. Equipped with a massive blade and a host of mythical abilities, War cuts through hordes of demons and angels to, surprisingly, save humanity from a gruesome end. Players can easily make parallels to early God of War games, but Darksiders steps outside of the box of familiarity with just enough to feel unique and new. The biblical battle for the sanctity of Earth spawned 2 sequels and an isometric hack-and-slash game, which will likely be the last we will see of the Darksiders series after the less than stellar 3rd entry. HELLBLADE: SENUA'S Sacrifice. HELLBLADE: SENUA'S Sacrifice is an intriguing game that steps beyond the typical action-adventure title to deliver an experience surrounding mental health and the perils of an impossible journey. There are moments when Senua's Sacrifice looks and feels like God of War 2018, though it's worth noting that Ninja Theory delivered just under a year before Sony Santa Monica. The 2 games do share similar themes in death and dread, and quite often both set aside action for emotionally driven storytelling. In terms of combat, Senua tends to be a bit more stylish and isn't nearly as brutal as God of War, but the comparisons can definitely be made between the 2. A Plague Tale: Innocence. If you were to put A Plague Tale and any God of War game side by side, you'd think we're crazy for drawing comparisons, but you'd have to look specifically at Kratos' 2018 journey, where he sets aside his life as a god slayer to take on his most difficult role yet: a single parent. In A Plague Tale, protagonist Amicia finds herself in a similar situation when she and her brother Hugo are orphaned amidst the plague-ravaging 14th century France. Much like Kratos and Atreus, Amicia and Hugo face dangers seemingly beyond their power, though Amicia proves herself quite useful with the slingshot. One could say the swarming of rats of A Plague's Tale are much like Kratos' destiny as a killer of gods. Unavoidable. Devil May Cry 5. When the first God of War was released, it drew heavy comparisons to Devil May Cry. Unsurprisingly, those comparisons continued as both franchises kept dishing out similar experiences. Devil May Cry 5 sticks true to the series' formula, which means it once again calls back to the original God of War trilogy. The fast-paced combat that Dante and the returning hero Nero have been known for returns in the 5th installment, and the demons flood the playing field like an unstoppable disease. A third mysterious character known only as V joins the fray, bringing a unique fighting style that focuses around his cane and 3 helpful demons, a griffin, a panther and a golem. It's a nice break from the expected sword and gun action Devil May Cry has been known for. NIER Automata. A game developed by Platinum Games is bound to have some ruthless combat, and NIER is certainly no exception. You'd think the human element would be removed from a game with android protagonists, but that's not quite the case. NIER features a deeply engaging story framed by instances of chaotic combat. Stringing along combos is a bit reminiscent of old God of War games, but NIER is also quite unlike Sony's action-adventure title in its more Asian style, which incidentally is another common thread among Platinum Games titles. Bayonetta. Hair. Just hair everywhere in this quirky take on the demon-killing formula that Devil May Cry launched and God of War improved upon. As the titular witch, players have quite an unusual arsenal at their disposal as Bayonetta swaps between a pair of pistols, guns built into her boots, and the very long hair atop her head. When not slinging bullets, Bayonetta can use her hair to perform devastating attacks and summon some very helpful aids. Like Devil May Cry, Bayonetta is quite a bit quicker than even older God of War games, but there's still that essence of cutting through hordes of baddies to get to the next big boss. The Last of Us. On the surface, it seems impossible to find comparisons between Naughty Dog's horror adventure The Last of Us and Sony Santa Monica's God of War. But, as it turns out, Kratos and Joel aren't that different. Both find themselves in a scenario they don't want to be in, traversing a world that will do anything to see them dead. Family is a heavy theme in both games, and the 2 fatherly figures must fight their inner brutes to find and embrace their paternal instinct. In fact, both games focus very heavily on the growth Kratos and Joel undergo as they get closer to their younger companions. The Witcher. If there is anyone that's squared off against more mythical monsters than Kratos, it's probably Geralt of Rivia. The Witcher comes equipped with the skills and weapons needed to slay witches, vampires, poltergeists, werewolves, wendigos and your mum, but frantic button mashing won't get the job done. Like in God of War 2018, players have to be careful with their attacks to keep Geralt from being open to an assault. The Witcher 3 features quite the list of supernatural threats for Geralt to slay, not unlike his Norse bearded counterpart. At the root of The Witcher is the theme of inescapable destinies, and few video game characters have a fate as inescapable as Kratos. And there you have it, that is our list of games like God of War. How many of these games have you played? Are there any that you feel that we missed out? Sign off in the comments down below, we always love to hear from you. As ever, if you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any upcoming content right here on the Cultured Vultures YouTube channel. Also remember to check out the socials on screen now and the website culturedvultures.com for the full written version of this article and many, many more. Hopefully we'll catch you in the next one, but until then, caw-caw.